Sup y'all, it's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I want to give you guys my summary of the recent World Quest and Demon Invasion Q&A that happened today, and I guess for you guys yesterday, between Laura, who's one of the community managers, and Jeremy Fiesel, who is, I think, Muffinous on Twitter, and he's also one of the senior game designers of World of Warcraft, and he spent a lot of time working on World Quest and Legion, hence why he's here talking to us about World Quests. So anyway guys, before I really get into the information here, I do want to say a couple of things. Number one, this is just going to be a summary video, so I'm not going to be going over every single little point, every single little detail, and I'm not even really going to be going over every single question that was asked in the Q&A, just because I think a lot of them have already been reiterated and covered either in, I guess, like other Q&As or other videos that they've done, or at this point I would say would be pretty much basic knowledge for anybody that's looking for information about Legion. So I do probably think this is going to be the shortest Q&A video, or Q&A summary video that I've done. And also, if you guys do want to see a more complete list, I'm pretty sure Wildhead and MMO Champion have their own lists. And also, if you guys want to watch the whole thing, you can check the VOD at twitch.tv/Warcraft, and I'll have a link to that VOD in the video description below. Now, also, I was really kind of pleasantly surprised. See, I think I follow Muffinous on Twitter, I'm not sure, but every single time, like, whenever I read his tweets, he's, like, half the time he always comes off like kind of a dick, right? And so I didn't know, like, how he was going to come off in the Q&A, but he actually seemed like a really cool and nice guy. And so that was awesome to see. Very, very pleasant surprise. And what I also really appreciate him doing was he kind of illuminated a little bit of Blizzard's philosophical, I guess, like, mindset, and especially kind of like their introspection in previous, I guess, like, iterations of the game, and what they're trying to improve on, and what they're really trying to emulate and improve on in Legion with the World Quest. And so I really do appreciate that. And so more of that is very good, just so we can see not only where the game is going directly, but probably where they're going to take the game in the future. So anyway, guys, a big question that a lot of people had about World Quests is if they're going to be, I guess, like, updated in future patches and future expansions. Obviously, that's going to happen. I mean, like, anybody basically would pretty much assume that, but Muffinous, I'll just refer to him as Muffinous because that sounds way cooler, right? Muffinous, basically, he did confirm that, and that was definitely a good thing for me. I think it, obviously, I think the World Quest system, like, this is my personal opinion, I think the World Quest system is probably, like, the big thing that's coming into Legion, bigger than probably the artifact weapons, in my opinion, bigger than maybe the PvP system might be equivalent to it, but World Quests, in some ways, to me, kind of feel like daily quests were in Burning Crusade, or how, different raid difficulties were in Wrath of the Lich King, like a very big flagship thing that is coming with Legion. And so, of course, they're going to be expanding on it in future patches, and probably, I would assume, in future expansions. He seemed pretty excited about it, and everybody else who's talked about the World Quest system has felt the same way. Now, there was also a lot of questions as to whether, like, how are those new World Quests going to fit into the old ones, and he kind of referred to them as kind of like buckets, I guess. And so buckets, I would just assume, is basically a selection of World Quests that would appear on your map, and basically whenever the new content comes out that has new World Quests attached to it, those newer World Quests will have a very high chance to appear, or a much higher chance to appear than the I guess, like, the previous World Quests. Now, as a lot of you guys know, the World Quests can reward basically anything. The main things that they reward are artifact power and garrison resources, or not garrison, class order hall resources, and they also do reward gear. Now, whenever you complete 4 world quests in a certain area, there's sometimes going to be an emissary quest up. Each day you get 1 new emissary quest, and they can stack up to 3 days. And so let's say you don't play for 2 days and you do log in, but you do have a lot of time that day, you can go and complete all 3 of the emissary quests, the one from that day, and then also the ones from the 2 days beforehand. And the emissary quests are going to be one of the biggest ways that you can get reputation from each faction, and the emissary quests are kind of tied to a zone. And so there's, like, I think, like, the Nightfallen, I don't really know what the faction's called, and then there's, like, the High Mountain Tribes, which is, I think, some sort of a faction. And so each of those factions, whenever you do an emissary quest for them, does give you a lot of reputation, and that's most of those factions are tied to a certain zone. So that's a really big thing. Also, whenever you get the emissary's cash, which is obviously the reward for completing the emissary quest, is you can potentially get a legendary item in that cache. The legendary items from what I've seen from people getting them in beta and what kind of like what they're indicating is the Emissary caches are going to be a very, very good way to get legendary items. So I would recommend everybody to pretty much clear those out whenever Legion comes out, pretty much no matter what, especially, I guess like depending on how important the legendary items are going to be. Now, also, the World Quest, as I said before, will reward Class Order Hall resources. You use Class Order Hall resources for a lot of things. Now, towards the end of the, I guess, like, after, like, the initial hype for the expansion dies down, you will still need Class Order Hall resources over time, but there will be less of a need for them at the beginning. You do your Class Order Hall research, and it's a different tiered system. Think about, like imagine like the old talent systems, right? And you can either pick one talent or another talent, and there's like 5 or 6 different levels, and you can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, or whatever you want to do. And at the bottom, and each of those upgrades costs progressively significantly more Class Order Hall resources, and also can give you different buffs in like I guess like in World Quest content. One of them just allows you to complete a World Quest without even having to do it, and I think that's like on a 1-week cooldown or something like that. So there's all kinds of really cool things that the Class Order Hall research can do. Now you also can get and by the way, the bottom tier of the Class Order Hall research allows you to equip 2 legendary items in the Legion content, 2 Legion legendary items. So it's very, very important that you do max that out if you do intend at all to be on any sort of a competitive level with other people. Now also, the other thing that you mainly use the Order Hall resources for, and there's a tertiary thing, I'm just going to say this right now, you can buy a lot of the Order Hall gear, like the Order Hall sets from that, but at their current prices and at the current item level and everything, they're really not worth it. So the other thing you can buy is the Artifact Knowledge, and I think that we talked about this, and they talked about this actually in the last Q&A, and the Artifact Knowledge basically just increases the rate at which you gain Artifact Power, and Artifact Power you of course use to empower and increase the levels and the traits in your Artifact weapon. Now there's 25 levels of Artifact Knowledge, and I think each level takes 5 days, and I'm not really going to get into that too much because we talked about that last week, but the point that I'm trying to get at is that Order Hall resources will be relevant for a very, very long time, and also you can of course get straight Artifact Power from the World Quest, or even more so, you can just get straight up gear. Now any of that gear has a chance to Titan Forge all the way up to the highest level of the current available gear in Legion. I'm really not a big fan of that. I think that everybody knows that, and I think that the chances of having that happening is probably the equivalent of winning the lottery. So I'm not really going to expect too many of those things to happen, just because of the way that they roll the gear and everything. And Muffiness did explicitly say that the gear, the more difficult content that you do, the more difficult the content is that you do, the higher the chance that you have, and the higher the baseline item level. So I mean, like, imagine, like, so, like, you get, like, an 820 piece of gear, just so I can illustrate for you guys, and the maximum item level in the game is, let's say, 895, because that's what the legendary items are. It would have to make, let's see, so 820 to 895, that would be 75, and that would be 20, so I don't really know entirely. Okay, I'm going to fucking confuse myself here, but anyway, each 5 level increase is a different roll, and so you would have to win a very, very large amount of consecutive rolls in order for it to actually fully upgrade to 895. But if you're getting gear from, let's say, the mythic level of the raid, it has to do progressively less upgrades because it starts at like let's say 870 or 860. So it's a lot easier for that to make it all the way up to 895 because there's less chances for it to fail. So that's pretty much the system that they're doing. That's my understanding of it, and hopefully it won't really be too much of an RNG fest, but we'll have to see what happens. So you can get that gear. That gear has been proven on the beta to be very, very powerful, and so you really pretty much always want to do the world quests that give you gear. You probably also want to do all the ones that give you, I guess, Order Hall resources. Now, there are also going to be PvP world quests, obviously. Now, PvP world quests range from completely different shit, right? Some of them, like, apparently you turn into a Murloc. Other ones, you go and assault a tower and you kill PvP mobs and you go up and kill a commander or something like that. Now, they do give you honor for the new honor system. Sometimes they do give you pieces of PvP gear, or sometimes they just give you artifact power, just like pretty much everything else does. There's not really a big focus in these PvP world quests in being balanced. It's more of a focus in having fun. So I don't really know how that's going to turn out, but we'll have to see. Now, there's also been a lot of questions about the world quest in regards to if they're going to be expanding the world quest system into, let's say, Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Outland, Northrend, Pandaria, or even fucking Draenor, right? And there is going to be, for sure, one world quest that's going to be appearing in probably, I would say, Eastern Kingdoms, and that's going to be in a future content patch in Legion. They're going to be creating a new world quest for a fishing, I guess, like tournament, and so that's going to be really, really cool to see. So I think we can almost expect to see world quests be kind of expanded outside of the Broken Isles. Now, I think it would be really, really cool to go back and maybe, I guess like do some world quests in Red Ridge Mountains. Red Ridge Mountains, I love that zone. It's one of my favorite zones in the whole game, and I would go back in there. But there is kind of, there's some concerns. They have some concerns because like somebody goes in there and they start getting fucking killed by gnolls again. It's like, what's this? I thought I'm level 100, 110 now. So I mean, people would feel a little shitty going back and getting killed by gnolls. So I don't really know exactly how they're going to scale that and how they're going to do that, but I do think that adding those world quests and special world objectives into those older zones would really kind of allow people to explore the world of Warcraft. And so I think that would be really, really cool, and I'm definitely really looking forward to seeing that happening. Now, the kind of, I guess like what they said that the world quests are, the world quests, what does it say? World quests are version 2 of the Mists of Pandaria dailies. I think that's basically what Muffin has said. And he's also said that they're going to have better incentivization per quest. And so, in Mists of Pandaria at the beginning of the expansion, you would do each world quest, like the Quaxi quest or whatever, and go around and throw bombs on the bugs or whatever it is, and get that shitty achievement. And at the end of the quest, you got 19 gold, right? It wasn't really too big of a deal. So the world quests are very similar to that in a way, but there's also a much bigger breadth and I guess much more variety as to what actually you're going to be getting as rewards from those quests. And so it's kind of like you're going back and doing the dailies, but those dailies have entirely is a huge difference in the amount of different rewards that those dailies get or give. Now, also there's going to be a very, very big variety of the quests, and so some of them, are like kill a world boss. I think the world boss quests are like once a week. Other ones are once a day. Other ones are only once every 3 hours. And so some of them turn over very, very quickly, and some of them, of course, obviously take a week to do. And the idea is that there's going to be more world quests in the game than people have time to do. Now, obviously, for somebody like me and Neckbeard, that's not going to happen. But for a normal person, I would say that would probably be true. And he also said that there's going to be over 1,000 world quests in Legion. And as somebody who's played the beta, not really a whole lot. Okay, honestly, I really haven't. But I played it enough to know that I think that seems pretty true. Now, also, there are going to be more world quests that you unlock as you progress your reputation with the different factions. And so the biggest example of this is Suramar. As you progress your reputation and as you progress through the storyline of Suramar, more world quests will unlock for you, and that will kind of allow you to, I guess, get better rewards, get more of that ancient mana, and I think that's the same thing will happen in some of the other zones as well, but I think that he used Suramar as an example. And also, people are wondering if there's going to be a weekend event for World Quests. The Apexis weekend event is going to be replaced with the World Quest weekend event, and it's going to, basically, each World Quest is going to give you rep with each of the factions that you're doing the quest for, instead of just the Emissary quest giving the rep, I think. And also, there's probably going to be either an improved, a higher chance of getting improved gear, or just baseline improved gear. I'm not really entirely sure what that's going to be. Now, also, people are wondering if they're going to be able to see the same world quests as everybody else. And so, let's say like me and like my boy Zach log on, or like me and like any of my friends, some guildies or whatever. Are we still going to be able to go and say, okay, let's go do this world quest in this one place? And yes, basically all of the world quests are the same for everybody. Obviously, if the ones for the, I guess, like the factions, if you don't have that level of the faction reputation unlocked, then no, you're not going to be able to do those. But besides that, you should be able to do all of the other ones. So I think that's a really, really good system. And they also might implement class-specific world quests later on. So, like something where you have to like control a demon, or something where you have to heroic leap over of an impasse or something like that. Obviously, that would be really, really cool, and hopefully they do that. Now, the demon invasions were kind of more of a minor note, and I also don't really think that they're that important, and so that's why I'm really not going to be talking about them too much, just because you guys don't really need to know too much stuff about it, because it's only the pre-event, right? But anyway, the demon invasions are going to be kind of the first, I guess, like the first taste that we're going to get of world quests. They function very similar to world quests, and they have different, I guess, like rewards that you can get from them, as well as transmog sets and everything like that. Now, I don't really know if the demon invasions are going to continue throughout Legion. I really, really hope they do, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, guys, I think that's pretty much all that I have to say. As I said before, I do really, really appreciate them kind of like, I guess, like talking a little bit more into what their plans are, and then potentially thinking like, this is like a concern for us, this isn't a concern for us, this is what we'd like to do, this is what we didn't like about, let's say, for example, the quest in Mists of Pandaria. And so, having that kind of stuff and having, I guess, like that insight does really kind of help me as a player kind of understand where the game is going, and also help understand what the decisions they're making are, and kind of like where those decisions are where they're trying to have those decisions take them. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I've got for, I guess, like, for this Q&A. I think this is going to be the last Q&A, or at least a scheduled Q&A every Thursday, but I think they have another one coming up with, I think, Jonathan Lee Kraft about, I don't really know what, but I don't think they have a date for that yet. Anyway, guys, I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. Honestly, I want to say something right now real quick. The closer the pre-patch gets, man, I'm actually getting excited for this expansion, man. I thought after WoD I would not get excited, but just seeing all the cool shit that they have, I'm gonna be really fucking mad if this expansion sucks, man, because I really, really am looking forward to it. Okay, I really am, and doing the Q&As, I really appreciate Blizzard doing the Q&As, and it just really helps me out, and I think it helps the whole player base out as well. So anyway, guys, I'm very, very curious to hear what you think, because the world quests, I think, are going to be probably one of the, I guess, like the flagship features of Legion. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe.